Hey, this is Michael Gale again. Another short video. This one's called What the Church Must Do Now to Prepare for the Great Tribulation. If you're committed to the pre-trib rapture theory, it's probably best if you go watch someone else's video. You won't get your ears tickled here. This video is not for you. So this is a continuation of the two previous messages on the abomination of desolation is set up in the church, not a temple in Jerusalem. And you can check out those videos. Before I get to what the church must do now part of this message, I need to show you the two choices we have. The Bible shows us these two choices that lay ahead of us in the days coming up. So one of the choices is to be an overcomer, and the other is to be apostate or fallen away or backslidden. There is no middle ground. All the last day Christians are going to be in one of these two groups. So sticking your head in the sand or just ignoring this stuff won't make it go away. You're going to be in one of those two groups. You're either going to be an overcomer or you're going to fall away. So nearly all Bible prophecy teachers fail to realize that there are two last day churches in the Bible. This leads to all kinds of misunderstanding, and if you don't separate these two out, you'll stay in the fog. And so most Bible teachers lump all the last day Christians into the same boat. But there are two last day boats. The purpose of the book of Revelation is to tell us what is going to take place so we can prepare ahead of time. So it says, blessed is he who reads and heeds the things of the prophecy of this book, for the time is near. That's how Rev starts. And so when discussing the last days, Jesus said this, see to it that no one misleads you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. That's Matthew 24. And then Jesus follows with this, behold, I have told you in advance. So why did he say this? He is warning us in advance so we can prepare our hearts and minds for what is coming. There's no excuse. See, I have told you in advance. So there's no excuse. He told us what's coming down. Okay, the last two churches are Philadelphia and Laodicea. I call them Philly and Leo. Philly prepares in advance. Leo does not. Philly is rewarded with an open door and is kept from the hour of testing, the Great Tribulation. Leo has a closed door, and Jesus is standing outside the church knocking on the door. She's disciplined and reproved during the Great Tribulation. In the last message, we talked about progressive theology in the last days. This is Leo. In this message, we'll talk about Philly, the overcomer church of the last days. Daniel's 70th week is divided into two 3.5-year periods. The first half is the final birth pangs before the coming of Messiah. This is the first half of Daniel's 70th week. It is the final birth pangs. The birth pangs started in Matthew 24 and earthquakes and famines and wars and all that stuff. But the final birth pangs happened just before the trib. And so the second half of Daniel's 70th week is the Great Tribulation. So the final birth pangs is the woman in Rev 12. She's in pain to give birth. That's the birth pangs. She gives birth to the male child who will rule and reign with Messiah for 1,000 years. The male child are the overcomers. They're caught up through the open door that's put before Philly into his presence, into the sanctuary. So then the second half of Daniel's 70th week starts, and that's the Great Tribulation. The overcomers are the worshipers in the sanctuary in Rev chapter 11. They have gone through the open door, which is the veil between the outer court and the sanctuary, into the sanctuary, into his presence. The rest of the church, those who fail to enter during the final birth pangs, remain in the outer court. They are trampled underfoot during the tribulation. This is Laodicea. I discipline and reprove those whom I love. Leo gets disciplined during the tribulation. That's the purpose of the tribulation. So the overcomers operate just like Jesus did during his 3.5-year ministry. When they are caught up, they don't physically go anywhere. The open door is to have the heavenly realm open to them. When Jesus was baptized, the heavens were open to him. He operated in both the physical realm and the spiritual realm for his 3.5-year ministry. And he never did anything he didn't see the Father doing. So he could see everything in the heavenly realm. He could see the Father, and he operated in the physical realm. And just like Jesus, the overcomers will operate in both the physical and the heavenly realm for their 3.5-year ministry. So the church age begins with the 3.5-year ministry of Jesus, and it ends with the 3.5-year ministry of the overcomers. They are the ones who preach the gospel of the kingdom to the whole world, and then the end will come. That's Matthew 24. The gospel of the kingdom shall be preached to the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Who's doing that? Who's preaching it? The overcomers. So we must be in Philly. So how do we make sure we're in Philly? We must realize that the final birth pangs are a test. The purpose of the birth pangs is to separate those who will fall away from the faith from those who will not fall away from the faith. The final birth pangs of the church have already begun. They'll continue to increase in severity and frequency. This is what birth pangs do, so I've been told. So this is what's going to take place. Christians who preach the truth will begin to be set apart from the rest of society. And we know this is going on already. Restrictions will be placed on where and how they are allowed to operate. It will start with little things like what's been going on with Jack Phillips here in Colorado for the last decade. He has been targeted and persecuted for refusing to bake cakes for gay weddings. It's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. And even though the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, the persecution continues to this day. So as this goes on, Christians will be labeled as hate-filled people. They'll be portrayed as people who do not love one another, people who look down on others with a self-righteous and judgmental spirit. Laws will be created that prohibit hate in society. These laws will be directed at Christians who preach the truth about the cross and about sin. These laws will infiltrate government, schools, the media, businesses, communities. The focus point of these laws is LGBT. Civil rights commissions and NGOs will be given more and more power to enforce these anti-hate laws. Eventually, these laws will be embedded into the terms of agreement or the terms of service clauses for all employment and financial transactions. Failure to comply with the terms of agreement will result in closed checking accounts. Your credit cards will be revoked. Credit will be revoked. Christians will not be able to work or pay their bills. Churches will not be able to make loan payments on their buildings. They won't be able to pay the utilities, the staff, etc., etc. As progressive theology and homosexual sin continues to infiltrate the church, those who speak out against it will be arrested. All the church will have to do is compromise their stand a little bit, and everything will be fine. They will be forced to renounce homosexuality as sin. If they just agree that homosexuality is not only accepted by God, but blessed by God, if they just go with that, they'll be allowed to operate as usual. So now let's look at the verses on Philly. I know your deeds. Behold, I put before you an open door which no one can shut. You have a little power and have kept my word, and you have not denied my name. So the Christians will be pressured to compromise his word. They will be pressured to deny his name. The overcomers in Philly will stand strong. They will not compromise his word or deny his name. His name means his presence. These Christians would rather lose everything than lose the presence of the Holy Spirit. Then the next verse, because you have kept the word of my perseverance, I also will keep you from the hour of testing, that hour which is coming upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. That's the great tribulation. The overcomers will be those who keep the word of his perseverance. Perseverance. This means that even during intense times of persecution, they do not fall away. They refuse to compromise his word, even if it costs them everything. I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have so that no one will take your crown. The overcomers in Philly are admonished to hold fast what they have. They have his presence. They have his word. There will be those who will try to take their crown. They will be government officials, others in the church, family members, friends. Okay, here's what they'll say. Why don't you just get along? Why can't you just be like everyone else? Why do you got to cause trouble all the time? Why do you hate so much? Aren't you supposed to love everyone? Why do you judge others who are different from you? Aren't you not supposed to judge? And why do you come down on these people? Why can't you just get along? And so these are the questions that the overcomers will be pressured with every single day. Jesus said in the last days, many will fall away and betray one another. Most of this betrayal will come from within the church. This is the purpose of the final birth pangs, to separate those who will stand strong from those who will fall away. So the elders have to address this right now. The leaders of the church must tell the Christians what is coming. They must be told that if they do not accept and bless homosexuality, they will lose their jobs. They will lose their homes. They will lose family members and friends. The churches will lose their buildings. The leaders will be arrested. Is the church ready for that right now? Not even close. But we have time to prepare. I'm not talking about storing up food or ammo. I'm talking about preparing our hearts and minds for what is coming. Just acknowledging that this is coming changes everything. Just understanding that what's coming changes everything. And so here, if you don't get anything else out of this message, remember this. We must understand that when these things come upon us, that it is a test. We are being tested. We're being tested to see if we're going to hold fast or fall away. The final birth pangs are the 3.5-year period of testing for the church. It's a test to see if we'll keep his word of his perseverance. The choice before us will determine if we have an open door before us or if we lose his presence. The overcomers will preach the gospel of the kingdom during the tribulation. The others will be disciplined during the tribulation. So here's the good news on this final birth pangs. It's the latter rain. Daniel's 70th week begins with the outpouring of the latter rain. The Christians who are in a position to receive that outpouring will have the perseverance, the strength to hold on to the truth. That is why it says that Philly has a little strength. They are totally dependent on the Holy Spirit. They have his presence. This is the latter rain. This is what we've been waiting for. Laodicea, the progressive, arrogant last day church who thinks they've arrived at everything, they think they're rich and have need of nothing, they won't receive the latter rain outpouring. They'll shun it. They have lost his presence. They will fail the final birth pangs. They will be disciplined during the tribulation. I discipline and reprove those whom I love. That's the purpose of the tribulation, to bring Leo back to him. So may we all merit to be in Philly. May we all merit to be overcomers. I'll close with this verse. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. So in the next message, it's called The Great Tribulation Will Be the Church's Greatest Hour. This one's going to be fun. This one's going to be very encouraging. And don't forget my blog, endtimebibleprophecy.com, and my 2 books on Amazon, The Two Witnesses and The Harlot of Babylon. And I'll see you in the next video. May we all merit to be overcomers. Shalom.